Welcome everyone to our Tuesday night leadership call for the HEAT team. It is February 25th, and tonight I have the honor of introducing our speaker. So I am Alexis Busselman. I live in South Texas, and tonight our speaker is Amarie Whetton. We are good friends. She is a QNMD, and we were introduced last year by Steve Shapiro, who is our regional director. I know that she's going to share a lot with you guys this evening about her story and a little bit more about her bio. But initially, Steve introduced the two of us because we were growing our businesses really fast, and we had a lot of the same goals and mindsets, and ended up doing coaching calls together with him. And that was really amazing for us to be able to build that sideline relationship. And in the last year, we've done social media events together and just stayed in really close contact to talk about our successes and some of our challenges and struggles. And I knew that she would be a blessing to the HEAT team tonight to be able to hear some of the strategies that she's been using to grow her team and to work with her customers and everything that her team has going on. And so I love, one of the things about Amarie that is totally opposite from my story is the fact that not only does she run this incredible Juice Plus business and built all the way up to QNMD, but she also works full time. So she's an engineer and she has 4 children. So talk about just a super mom. I can't wait to hear everything that she's going to share with us this evening. So with that, Amarie, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. So I appreciate the invitation very much. And, you know, Alexis has just been a huge anchor for me. We've been big anchors for each other. So I can't thank her enough. And I am excited about the invitation. So I do have some slides, and I am going to share my screen and switch over to my slide presentation and start it at the beginning. All right, does it look okay? All right. So I was really excited when Alexis and I were voxing, and she was talking about some of her transitions as she moved into a national marketing director and how she had raised some of her people up depending a lot on her. And I said, well, that's really interesting because my team is very independent because I work full time and have 4 kids and work out like a crazy person and am on a bunch of other committees and am part of my church. And so I don't have a lot of time. So my team grew up very independent. And what it caused me to do was really sit down and kind of focus, like, well, how do you create independent leaders? So we went back and talked through that. So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. And so what I was going to do is just share with you my story and talk a little bit more about our team, the fact that they're geographically dispersed and different ways that you can build teams, some of the strengths of our team and some of the rituals that we've created, and then some of the challenges that we have being an independent team, and sometimes the challenges of being a leader of an independent team, and to talk about like, hey, what's next? So I'm going to save some time too at the end. If you do have some questions and want to ask questions, I'll leave you some time. So just a little bit about me is that I grew up in this little town of 3,000 people, Estes Park, Colorado. And I went to college to be a chemical engineer and started working full time right away out of college. And one of the things that I had been working, I've always been a hard worker and just really had like dived into my career. You can see that I'm a mom of 4. My oldest is 14, so I have a 14, 12, 9, and 3-year-old. And one of the things that I was running against was kind of when my kids were little, I was just exhausted. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would just want to put my head down on my desk and sleep or cry. And what I did was I started working with a coach at work, and she pointed me to a naturopath. And this naturopath did blood work. And at the time, this was about 5.5 years ago, I was allergic to everything. This panel had like 50 things in it. We were vegan, and everything that I was eating showed up as a food allergen for me. And so what I ended up doing was kind of this 90-day cleanse where, you know, I incorporated chicken back into my diet because I couldn't figure out what to eat. So I basically ate chicken and lettuce for 90 days, and I got like super skinny because I couldn't figure out what to eat. But I just kind of wanted this normal life. I started reading lots of books about how to heal your gut and what do you do. And the common theme was fruits and vegetables. So some people were juicing and they were just incorporating these giant salads. And while I was juicing, my husband started juicing with me. And one of the things that we just found was like, oh my gosh, this juicer is gonna be the end of us. Like, we're gonna get a divorce over who cleans the juicer. And I actually I like my husband a lot, and I wanted to keep him. I ran into a nutritionist at church, and that's Ginger Carter, had invited me to a wellness party at her house that Wednesday. And she told me about how someone already took juice for me and they put it in a capsule. And I just thought, this is brilliant. I can't believe I didn't know about this. I just jumped in right away, literally from that one conversation, and I jumped into the business right away. And just want to talk a little bit about like why someone I'm successful in my job, and I make a pretty good income above the national average. And why would someone like me start a Juice Plus business on the side? And it was because I felt like I was trapped in the rat race and I couldn't see a way out. And I told you I was like not feeling well. And this business just gave me a path. I was tired of the male leaders in my life deciding what my performance was like at the end of the year. And I just wanted to take control of it. Like I wanted to decide what my performance was. And so jumped into the business. So I'm now living in Tucson, Arizona, working 40, 50 hours a week. And now I have a Juice Plus business going. So this is about 5 years ago. I did start creating a team. And like I said, part of my nature, I think, was just being driven, like, okay, what are we doing? What is it? So I came up to sales coordinator pretty quickly, and then went on to a senior sales coordinator. And as I'm building my team is built across the country. So a lot of social media, a lot of team events, but we're in California, Tucson, Colorado, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan, and then Toronto. So I have a team in Toronto that's growing as well. And so we just kind of grew up this way with a remote, always interacting with people remotely. And at Q School this last year, became good friends with a gal. And she was telling me like her entire team is within like a 1 mile radius of her. And they all throw parties together. I was like, I was like, I can't even imagine. It's just not the way that my team grew up. So we grew up with a lot of social media reaching out because I think I went to a small high school. I have a lot of my team I went to kindergarten with that joined in, and then sisters of my best friend, and kind of that's where we found our team and started growing. And one of the things I really celebrate, because my upline was independent. She didn't grow up with an upline. So a lot of what we learned to do was really team with some like-minded leaders, like sideline buddies. And so Alexis and I paired up, walked across the stage as Qs. And then this is my good friend, Megan O'Brien, who's also a sideline buddy of mine. And we always are in kind of constant counseling of each other on like, hey, how'd you do this? What did you do? So we use sidelines a lot. And I have watched my team duplicate that too. So when I am not available, they all know to call each other. And one of the things that I love about part of this team culture that has fostered that is we communicate a lot kind of in like small group voxer and say like, how do I do this? Or where do I find this? And someone else will answer. So because we've built these relationships amongst the other people reach out to each other versus reaching out to me, and often get faster answers and probably a little bit more rich answers or different perspectives on things. So I think that that's been a huge thing. And as we went, so I'm a pretty new Q, so I went to Q last April. And I think that's really where we started pausing and slowing down and really focusing on creating some of our team rituals. And so this is us. This is us playing around on the stage at last April conference. But one of the rituals that we created was a team logo. So people would kind of go off, you know, they were trying to surprise me on Q Day, and they went off and actually hired a graphic designer to create a logo for us. We were working with a gal in the UK that was teaching us about how to brand ourselves and like, come up with our color palette. And so they took my signature color palette and went and worked with a graphic designer. And it was just like the coolest thing ever. Like, I think this is kind of one of the things where you they have the opportunity to really reach out and do some neat things. And I think part of what we've done, some of the things that we did, was we attract partners who work more independently. And so when someone comes in new, we still definitely lock arms with them through, you know, the first several months and the several milestones. But there's definitely this kind of feeling of like, well, but this is just temporary. Then we're gonna turn you loose soon, and we're just gonna teach you how to do stuff, and then you're gonna do it. Then you're gonna do it on your own. And so this is the team T-shirts that they surprised me with. As I was getting ready to get on stage, they like did this like unveiling of the shirts, and I cried. It was really super sweet. I think that this is part of the sideline buddies, so that those who need more support, these people are all connecting with each other to kind of get what they need. And what I try and do is really model behaviors, and then I share what I'm doing. I talk about what I'm doing via voxer, team calls, one-on-one coaching, but I'm not as available to do things for people. And so people learn how to do them or reach out to their buddies in this picture or sidelines to connect. Another ritual that we've come up with really is celebrating everything. So finding ways to stay connected with each other. So once we had this logo, right, like we go nutty with this logo, or like every time somebody does something like, I'm a warrior, we're the Whetton Wellness Warriors. And I had the opportunity to publish a book last year in my spare time. I just told you how I have all this spare time on my hands. I work with a publishing company and a group of women, and wrote a chapter in a book. And I got to take the time to write out my Juice Plus story and really share my wellness journey. So if you'd like a book, I have them. I have more. But that gave us a chance to really like learn about sharing our stories with each other too. And so we've had the chance to just get to know each other and grow closer as this team. And so as I was flipping through some of my pictures, putting together this presentation and really thinking about like what makes us, like what did we do? I found this picture of Lacey and Jane. Jane's in Toronto and Lacey is in Oklahoma now. She was in Colorado. And this was just kind of a moment that was captured in time of us in Sacramento, just, you know, it was kind of stopping and snuggling because that's what the culture, you know, kind of how part of our culture developed is like sort of this salad sisters or the sisterhood. One of the rituals that we developed because of, I would say sort of some dark times when you kind of get in a funk, at a conference was I was like, all right, everybody come together. We call it the gratitude circle. And so we gather around, like you see us in that picture, we gather around and we just go around like popcorn style and share something that we're grateful for. I am grateful that you ladies came here to this conference to support each other. And I'm grateful that Sue shared her story, made herself vulnerable today when she was interacting with us, and do that. And then everyone, if they feel like it, will go around and say something. And then we sort of leave our gratitude circle with, I guess, improved feeling of selflessness and really love. So that's been one of the fun things that we did. And then the picture at the bottom was me ditching the Elton. So I'm a 12 club team, so I qualified the last 2 years for the Eltons. And the first time my team went out without me while I was at the Eltons, and they just had this like great time. And so the next year I was like, well, I just wanted to qualify for the Eltons, but I'm gonna ditch the Eltons and I'm gonna go hang out. So we put on our fancy dresses and had our own ball at my friend's mansion in Austin. Which I went to high school, a gal I went to elementary school with, happens to have a mansion in Austin. And so this was kind of one of our things, we got all dressed up. So just using opportunities to kind of create some fun. We did an offsite we called it Epic. We didn't know what Epic was going to stand for, but like, we're like, it'll be epic. So we had it in Estes Park, Colorado, and this was last July. We just held a leadership retreat. This one, one gal traveled from Toronto as part of our team, and kind of all over the place. We met at a vacation VRBO in Estes. That's us sitting around the campfire at a group circle. And what we did was we created an agenda. So part of having this independent team was all I had to do was kind of show up with a little bit of an agenda. So someone took care of renting the place. Britt and Lacey took care of the food plan, and it's all like this vegan, amazing food all the time. So one of my friends on our team like bankrolled the whole place. So I think she carried some I don't want to know, like some $3,000 bill on her credit card for 3 months while we got ready for this. We had someone planned a yoga instructor. We did the icebreakers with this ball and some things. We had facials. And so we just had a really fun time filled with training and different things that we wanted to learn about. And from some of our sessions together, either our conference, we realized that we needed to start bringing each other up as leaders. So we came up with this idea about doing team training calls. And so what we do is weekly. So I do every other week. We meet every Monday evening. I do every other week, and then someone from the team fills in and does something. And so what that 30-minute training session does is causes people to figure out how to use Zoom themselves, how to record Zoom, how to develop content, and really get a chance to share their stories about something they've learned, something they're working on. And that's helped people to feel more confident about getting in front of people and having a conversation. And so some of the things that we've run into, though, some challenges, and if you work as an engineer, you always have to have a solution anytime you come up with a challenge. So I think one of the things too, some of my challenges, working hours. So I'm generally not available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. And so what that means is that people know how to get a hold of me kind of like an urgent basis. But one thing that's nice about Juice Plus is there's no Juice Plus emergencies. But that's where we've learned to leverage other resources like Steve Shapiro and calling the home office themselves and different sidelines. I do have the opportunity generally to travel to a lot of team locations, which I love traveling. So to me, that is super fun. But in a year, if my team in Colorado, I may only be there twice a year, and Canada, I'm only there once a year. And so they've had to learn to build very independently, talk other people to go there, or really learn how to present themselves, which has made these really amazing leaders that are there. And then leveraging a lot of the corporate leadership as well. And then in the times where we need to rebuild, so I'm going to talk in a second about kind of a move and having to rebuild, is being as repeatable as possible. So sometimes if you have a leg that falls off or loses its mojo, having a repeatable process allows you to just keep going and either rebuilding that leg or really finding some people that match your energy at that time and being able to rebuild. I think one of the big challenges that I maybe underestimated from my Juice Plus standpoint, but I feel like have a good understanding for my life, was I moved across the country last year in addition to publishing a book and going for Q, and I had some personal surgery, fixer-upper surgery. I had a big, exciting year last year, and also topped that with a move across the country and really learning how to take my growing, substantial Tucson team and figuring out how to work with them remotely has been a fun challenge, but an interesting challenge. So now I live in Huntsville, which is a rocket city, which is home base of NASA, where they helped get man on the moon 50 years ago. So it's a very exciting, progressive town, and I got to show up and start business from a different standpoint here. And so then I just wanted to kind of summarize, what's next for me? So really, what I do and what I teach my team to do is focus on money making activities that bring joy. So we always want to make sure that we stop and pause and find the joy in what we're doing, and really what means for each person the connection. So we still focus on, for the coming year, it's the weekly Whetton Warrior team calls with rotating leader. I've been enjoying a lot of food prep, teaching people how to just make their grocery list, like kind of busy mom strategies for eating healthy, and doing some public meal planning. We try to avoid, or we kind of have a rule to never reinvent the wheel. So we've been utilizing the Freedom Revolution resources on our startup, basically everything. So anytime we find ourselves starting to recreate the wheel, we're like, wait, stop, let's not, because we're trying to be like as fast and efficient as we can. Traveling, doing the tour again this year. A couple of us are going to Hawaii next month after next to do a retreat, and then focusing on three-way calls now that we're more remote. One of my gals is in Brave Leaders, so she's doing 15 calls, and her team has like, her business has just like exploded. And so we have her in front of everyone else talking about how that has caused her business to explode, and just being consistent about Facebook posts and me reaching out to the team. So as an independent leader, a lot of times I find myself working with whoever contacts me, and what I'm focusing on doing this year is using Team Z and really just creating a strategy to make sure I'm reaching out to everyone and being as proactive as I can, touching them. And so just to summarize, to close, one of the things that I learned this year, which is a good news or bad news story, is that magic is really something that you make. And so the good news is, when you want to turn it on, the way that we became a Q team, I think in the drive that took me there, which was like to get out of the corporate environment. In my new, I've struggled kind of since I've moved a little bit, because all of a sudden I love my job. I love my corporate job, and it kind of gave me pause to be like, well, what do I want to do? And I found myself really reconnecting with my team, and just my love of food and wellness and health. And just knowing that I want to keep inspiring people. My plan was to cross the stage with Alexis back in Austin. And as I got ready to pack my things in my house in July, I was like, you know what, I do not want to walk across the stage in Austin. I want to walk across with Alexis, but not right now. So I kind of put my NMD dream on pause. Why I sort some other things in my life out about kind of what to do with a new location in a new city and all the things that is there. But the great news is, like, magic is something that you make. So I get now that that energy and that excitement that we create is like there, and at any time I can just be like, all right, let's everybody, let's go, let's get engaged, and the energy follows along with all of us. So here's my contact information. So feel free to reach out to me whenever you want. I'm on Voxer, and I love connecting with Sidelines and just hearing about what's going on, and how I can help you out, and what you found that's been successful for you, because I definitely think that that's one of the great ways to share. So there's a few minutes remaining. If there's anything I can offer as far as questions or comments on how we've moved our business forward. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, maybe you can take off the share screen so we can see the gallery in case anybody's raising their hand. Lisa, go for it.
Hi, this was awesome, Amarie. You're amazing. So many women are like you, juggling very full-time jobs and kids. Like, give me an example of how you fit Juice Plus in. Like, is it during your lunch? Is it at 5 in the morning? I mean, you're a busy gal. So how did you make Juice Plus a priority so that you could move forward?
Yeah, no, I love your question. So, like, some examples, like, very specifically. Part of my team, we do this Morning Miracle, which is a book. So we kind of trained ourselves to, like, okay, we're getting up at this, like, my time is 5:30. So I'm getting up at 5:30, and I have a little journal on my nightstand. So before I go to bed, I have to write what I'm going to do in the morning, because otherwise you get up and you're like, why am I up? Why did I get up? I'm just going back to bed. And so I say, like, when I get up, I'm following up on those 3 people. I'm checking to see what orders are shipping, make sure I got them. And then I'm meditating for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to invite 5 people to my next event. And then I'm going to go to the gym. Then I go to the gym, come home, get dressed. On the way to work, I do voxer. I'm doing voxer on my commute to work. And then I always have, because I don't text and drive, but I always have this joke, like anytime, like I now have created this habit where whenever I pull into a parking spot, it means text 3 people and invite to the next, to my upcoming event. So I've moved from when Alexis and I are both going for Q, I was doing 3 events. I was doing 3 events every week, and I did that for 4 months to get to Q. So right now my new cadence is that I'm doing 2 events a month. So I have sideline buddies here, so I have other things that I can invite to, but my commitment is 2 events a month. And so so right now I would be inviting to that next event. So that's one way I fit it in. On weekends,
Awesome.
I carve out, I am very cognizant about my time, because what we used to say was stolen moments. I do this business in stolen moments, and people would be like, well, I don't want to steal the moment from my kids. But what I have found is that it's a trade. So I have learned to set aside, because I can't be available to my team all day Saturday and also go hiking with my 12-year-old all day Saturday. And so what I do is I say, I am going to do my team stuff. I am available from 9:30 to 11, or sometimes it's 9:15 to 9:45. And then Leah has me for, it's my 12-year-old, like she has me for the rest of the day. And so if we're in the car, driving to whatever we decided to do, I don't pick out my phone. I don't set it out. But when we go out, I'm constantly, like if I'm out with my husband, I'm always like networking and grabbing people's numbers to invite them to the next thing. So those are some examples of how I do it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Wait, there's multiple. This is good. I should be good at this, right? Multi ways in which data is coming in.
What are your events you're doing is one of the questions. What are
the events? Okay. So I'm like classic. I'm not super creative. So I am the like salad and like I grew up on salad in a jar. Like that's what people were doing when I was growing up. So I dig a salad in a jar. I do like soup in a jar. I've been doing this just meal prep. It's weird, like the things that you come across. Like I met this gal and I was like, well, I can teach you how to do meal prep. And so then now I started doing this like Saturday morning Zoom call on let's all sit down and write our grocery lists together. And it's kind of taking off. So we do our meal planning on Saturday mornings together on the phone. And then we do our like grocery shopping. And in that we just throw in conversations about Juice Plus. I have a smoothie party on Saturday. One of my sideline buddies in the city is doing a wine and wellness on Friday night. I meet people, I meet people for coffee. What else do we do? Like we do, so I'm really into, actually I could give you some of my soup in the jar recipes. I do that. Sometimes I just have people over for dinner and make them food, which apparently is like regular, like, hey, just come over, I'm cooking. And so we'll just feed people.
So I've got a quick question for all of you. This is the first time something's happened to my recording. We're hearing everything, but my screen is showing my desktop. Are you guys all seeing you?
I'm seeing you.
Okay, so I don't know why we're not seeing you, because we shouldn't be seeing me. So that's fascinating. Anyway, hopefully I'm recording you and not my screen share. Because I'm looking at my desktop, it's the weirdest thing, and I can't spotlight you.
Well, there's something that says, okay, cancel the spotlight video. Did that do something?
I tried to do that, and that's not happening either.
And now it's spotlighting you. Now it's spotlighting whoever's talking.
Yeah, and I can't get to a speaker. Like there's nothing available. It's really weird. We won't worry about it because we're hearing everything, and it's got to be recording. And we got all the recording until a minute ago if it isn't. So very strange. Carolyn Swanger, it must be your fault. All right. We are at 6:30. I'm going to turn this back to Alexis and see if you want to wrap this up for us, Alexis. This is so strange.
Okay, absolutely. I will wrap us up. So thank you so much, Amarie. And as you heard, there's a lot of high income producing activities that she's doing. I think one of the things her and I really tied together on was the fact of events. If y'all have heard me share, you know that that's something that I've really done. I'm glad that somebody asked like what type of events you're doing, because pretty much anything can be an event if you make it, and then if you use it as a platform to share what we're passionate about with Juice Plus. And so I really love Amarie's story. I love her drive and the creativeness she's had with her team to really create an environment that everybody wants to be part of. And I knew that all of us on this call this evening would be able to take something away and learn from her. So thank you guys for being on, and thank you, Amarie, for being our speaker.
Alexis, before we completely sign off, I just want to let everybody know, number one, next weekend, at least our team, anybody's invited, I want to talk about how to use giveaways. Lots of really cool ways to use giveaways to attract people as customers or as reps to your team. And March 10th, Kerry Daigle, and that call is going to be a 45-minute call. He's going to totally let us ask questions. So prepare questions ahead of time, use the chat. March 3rd is going to be how to use giveaways. March 10th, Kerry Daigle with 45-minute call, and I'm excited for that. And Amarie, this was a great call. We so appreciate it. Alexis, thank you so much for scheduling this. This is a team effort. We love you all. Everybody unmute your phone and give a big
Thank you.
thank you.
So much.
Thanks,
Woo!
Thank you.
It was great. Thank you.
It was awesome. Appreciate you.